Hello everybody, this is Isam Juman. He's one of my closest friends, and he's an aspiring street magician. He just want to tell us a little bit about his passion. Isam?
Hi, my name is Osama. Aspiring street magician slash card magician, really, most I deal with cards. What do you need to know exactly?
Well, just tell us a little bit about what you like about magic. What made you get into it?
Originally, as a kid, I always used to be interested in anything that had to do with sleight of hand, deception. The idea of tricking someone was always intriguing to me. And I never had any chance to do anything, but as a kid I always used to fidget with things constantly, have something in my hand, trying to spin a pencil, constantly drop things on the floor in class, making everyone in class like look at me, and I'm like, oops, pick it back up. Eventually that chaotic random fidgeting became controlled in the form of magic and sleight of hand. First thing I was exposed to was a beginner's magician book, which didn't really have anything amazing, mostly self-working tricks. Self-working trick being something anyone can pick up. Just deck of cards, they tell you set it up in this way, tell the person sorry, to do this or do that, and the trick will work. No sleight of hand involved, mostly presentation. Eventually I started getting to more complicated things. I was finally able to get my hand on a good deck of cards, because believe it or not, in Lebanon we don't have good decks of cards. A bicycle, which is $1 something here, you can get it at any pharmacy. Over there we had to get it from overseas. So eventually when I got one, I got really excited, and me and my friend kind of started at the same time. We got our hands on a really good video with the basics of card magic, started from there, and was able to practice and practice. And the main thing, believe it or not, is not practicing the sleights, it's more practicing presentation for people. And once I learned what goes behind presentation and magic, that also got me more interested. Because as much as I like sleight of hand tricks and deception, I also love psychology and everything that has to do with that. So to be a really good card magician, you have to combine both of those. Really good sleight of hand plus insight into psychology, because magic involves deception, misdirection, suggestion, psychology, and just all in all being an asshole who tricks people. So, for example, what is misdirection, suggestion in psychology? Like, how does that work? For example, I'm doing a trick, and at one point I'm going to use my left hand to hide a card in my back pocket. So I don't want you to look at my left hand. So I don't look at my left hand. I simply don't mention my left hand. Why would you look at it? If I'm working over here, you're going to assume everything's over here and you're going to look here while I'm doing something somewhere else. So that's misdirection. While if I want you to look at my left hand, I will look at my left hand. I don't have to say, look at my left hand. Simply, a simple gesture at the right timing will make everyone shift their attention while I do something else. So all this idea of being able to manipulate people's views of the trick, because it's all a trick of course, but some people go bonkers and go from not believing in magic to at the end seriously doubting whether magic is true or not. You have the other skeptics, which are, no, you're tricking me, there's no way, but they have no idea what I did, so it gets to their head and starts annoying them. And then you have the people who believe I'm working with the devil or something like that, and I sometimes use that to my advantage, because a huge part of magic is improvisation. So any trick, I don't have to do it at the same time to the same audience. I could always change it up depending on the situation. Let's say there's a cute girl on the other side of the table and I want to get her attention, so I'll tend to do something that, make her feel that there's a connection. I'm like, so pick a card. How do you feel about that card? Do you feel some sort of connection? You like that card? So it's just basically a bunch of blabber. It doesn't really mean anything. The meaning is what you make it be. I just give you a suggestion and you follow it. I can tell you, think of your card and try to channel that idea to me. So, I could say that, or I could just say, I'm going to try to read your mind, or I can tell you, try to throw me the thought. I can tell you, try to channel the thought through your friends to me. It doesn't matter, I can say anything I want. The fact of the matter is the effect. If the effect is consistent with what I'm trying to say, you're just going to use that explanation if you have no other explanation. And depending on whether you believe in magic or are susceptible to believing in things of the other kind, then you'll believe me or simply call bullshit. But regardless, it's entertaining, I guess, and people like to see it. People like to be tricked. Doesn't matter, they know that they're being tricked, it's still fun. It's up to the magician, of course, how you present it. I think I'm way off the question here. There isn't really like one specific thing, there's so much to this. Anything specific you want to know?
How do you learn your tricks? Like, you just pick up a deck of cards, start playing with them, or
no? You pick up a deck of cards. Yeah, I mean, you can start off with something really simple, like a certain cut, the simplest of cuts. Okay, I can show you how the cut is done. Tell you, you grab the deck, you swing the one packet, throw it, put the other packet on top. So you're like, oh, that's simple, I can do that. You grab the deck of cards, and it just simply doesn't feel right. Something's off. The packets will start moving around. Nothing is smooth. So that requires practice. You just grab the deck of cards, keep repeating the skill until you finally, your hands just know. It's like a muscle memory kind of thing. I just pick a card and I can do it. So then you move to something more advanced, It gets harder and takes longer for harder tricks until you finally just keep going. And I mean, obviously you can't learn everything. There's certain things that I can't even dream of doing yet. Just requires too much dedication and work. I concentrate more on the trick aspect, the psychology aspect, and I have a pretty good basis with sleight of hand and things like that, card manipulation. So basically, I always used to have a deck of cards. At that point when I first started, a deck of cards never left my hand. Always a deck of cards. I don't even have to look anymore. I'm simply watching TV, sitting on my computer while my hands are just repeating something. The last thing I've been trying to learn that I'm trying to get good at, repeat. But again, like I said, it's not about just the sleight of hand, because I could know a trick and I'm sitting and I can do it to myself easily. I can even say the pattern, but you go in front of people and there's this just overwhelming feeling that comes to you, no matter how much you think you're in control of yourself and have like a strong presence and you're not anxious in front of people, your hands just start shaking. It's like uncontrollable. No matter how much you try to go into a Zen mode or something, like concentrate, I got this, I know what I'm gonna do. You get thrown off and you start panicking. So that, to get over that, it really needs to just like go out there and do it. Like, just do it. Forget everything, just do it, it will work. Don't worry about it. I started off with my close friends, so if I screwed up, they wouldn't give me that much of a hard time, or they would laugh at me, like, ah, you suck. But eventually that obviously helped me become better, and then I would just go and do it, I don't care. Eventually, I got to a point where it literally doesn't matter what I want to do. It's like, I start having fun. I get bored of the normal trick. I'm like, let me start adding some spice here and there. It's like I have a deck of cards, and let's say the trick involves me at one point grabbing one of the cards and putting it in my back pocket while talking to you, okay? I've gone over it. I've found out that that's too easy. So I'm like, I'd be talking to you and I look around and there's a chair over there and there's a guy sitting. Let me see, if this guy gets up, I'm gonna grab this card and put it under him, just because I can. And the idea is, you might think it's like, but the person's right there, he's gonna see you do it. He really won't. Literally, if, like I said, you're not looking over there, he's not going to look over there. All you have to do is say to yourself, he's not looking, he's not going to see it, and just go do it. And it's surprisingly easy to trick someone, do something right in front of their face without them noticing. And sometimes when I pull off really interesting, I don't know what to call them, like those kind of things where I do something right in front of your face, after I finish the trick and the person goes away, like, I feel a sense of accomplishment. I would be really happy. I'm like, damn, I just did that. That's awesome. You didn't even know.
Just like that's the best part for you?
Yeah, like that's one of my favorite things. The other favorite part is the people who go completely bonkers. Like, oh my god, how do you do it? And they just start, freaking out, and it just makes me laugh. It's fun. Definitely.
Cool. Well, it's nice to know that you have a passion for it. You said there's a lot of psychology involved in it?
Yeah.
So,
okay, psychology. Well, of course, the idea of suggestion is a big part of psychology. Means when I explained how if I don't look at my right hand, you won't look at my right hand. Another interesting part of magic trick is that people will never remember what really happened in the trick. They will simply remember what the effect or what I told them. Like, I make you pick a card, I tell you put it back in the deck, or and then I shuffle, and then here's your card. Okay, the simplest progression of a card trick. Pick a card, here's your card. Let's say something more complicated than that. There's a trick where you pick a card, I put it back in the deck, and I give you the deck, and I only keep with me 5 cards. Now here, through the power of suggestion, I told you that here's the deck, keep it in your hand, and I tell you to clamp down on it so that I can't ever get to it. Now you assume the card is one of these 5, because earlier I showed you, I'm like, is your card one of these 5? And you're like, yes. I'm like, okay, here's the deck, I'm going to take these 5. Okay? Now at the end of the trick, what happens is these 5 cards end up being 4 cards, and your card ends up being in the deck in your hand. Your interpretation, all you're going to remember, you're not going to remember anything I did in between. No one remembers, because no one's looking for anything. You don't see it happen. All you're going to remember is, like, what just happened? You had the card, and then the card is in my hand. You never touched the deck. So you completely forget what happened in between, and over time, it starts warping. And when you tell it to your friends, you start giving me more and more credit. You start telling people, yeah, he just like grabbed the card in thin air, grabbed it out, and threw it invisibly at the deck, and it just flew, and it was there. There's no way, he never touched the deck. It becomes more and more extreme. It goes from, yeah, the deck kind of slipped through my hand for a second, to completely forgetting that I ever even touched the deck, and you make me seem like a god that just made a card fly from one part of the packet, to somewhere else, and I just never did anything. And sometimes a small suggestion, like if I say during the trick, there's one trick where I start off by bringing out the 4 aces in a fancy way, and then I tell you to pick a card offbeat, and I tell you to remember that card, keep thinking about it, make sure it's in your mind, and I stress that fact, okay? And then I completely forget the card. I'm like, I'm going to put the deck aside at this point, and I'm going to work with the 4 aces. Little do you know, I already have your card with the 4 aces. Regardless. Telling you my secrets here. Regardless.
He charges.
Yeah. Over time, what happens is people will forget what happened in between. All they're going to remember is, yeah, I was thinking of a card, and then it was in his hand with the 4 aces. Eventually, that's the effect. The 4 aces end up being 3 aces and your card, and 1 ace disappears, which is the same suit of your card. And you completely forget that you picked the card, that you touched the card at one point, that I touched the deck at one point, that it's completely plausible that at one point I made that card go from the deck to the 4 aces. All you remember is me stressing the word, think of it in your mind. And the trick goes from you picking a card, me finding the card, to you thinking of a card and me telling you what your thought was, simply because you don't remember what happened anymore, and you're just retelling the story to someone. It's like, oh, I know that guy, he did this and this and that, and you start giving me so much more credit than I actually deserve, and making my sleight of hand into extraordinary.
So really, you're nothing fancy.
Hey, I'm pretty good, no. I'm definitely pretty good, but it's all the concepts, once you understand the concepts, know the effect that's going to come out of the trick, then that's when you start being great, because people don't remember you as the guy that did something skillful, but the guy that did something that blew your mind. You simply could not explain it. It was something that unconceivable. A card just flew from one part to another. My thought simply like transported into your mind. Things like that.
Let me think of more questions.
Go ahead. I can demonstrate something if you want, very simple.
Sure, yeah.
4-card trick.
Okay, go for it.
People at home watch closely. Or in class, I believe. I'm just going to use 4 cards for this, nothing fancy. I think I have them on the side over here. Does it show pretty well? You might have to angle down.
Mm-hmm.
4 aces, and you can trust me, these are 4 aces. If you were here, I would give them to you to look at. Now, why did I use the aces? The aces are special. The aces have the least ink on them. So technically speaking, the aces are the lightest cards in the deck, right? Compared to a face card like the queen has way more ink, so it's a lot heavier. With an exception, of course, to the ace of spades. The ace of spades has the most ink on it. So compared to the other three aces, it's the heaviest ace. Now because the aces are so light, a simple spin makes something very weird happen. One of the aces simply turns over. And with another spin, another ace turns over. Turn that ace over, give it a third spin, and a third ace turns over. Now, remember how I said that the ace of spades is the heaviest ace? Well, because it's so heavy, no matter how many times I spin, the ace of spades does not turn over. If I give it a big shove just like that, the ace of spades turns over. Check it out. Just 4 aces.
Nice. How'd you do?
Oh no. I've been revealing secrets all day. I'm not gonna actually tell you how I did a certain trick. So this trick is purely sleight of hand, with of course a little bit of matter in the beginning, like me describing how the aces are the lightest cards in the deck, which obviously, I mean, if you guys think about it a bit, you can call bullshit on that. Just because there's a little bit more ink doesn't mean it's heavier or anything like that. But it's all part of the trick, you know. It's just part of giving
the illusion.
The illusion, yeah, giving the meaning to the trick, giving life to it. If I just simply grab the 4 aces and I start doing it, you're just gonna start losing. Just like, what's he doing? What's going on? You won't understand what's going on. There needs to be something for you to kind of use as a metaphor and relate. And like, okay, so that's what's happening. Aces are just turning one by one. Yeah.
Alright, thanks for sharing with us.
No problem.
It was magic.
It was fun.
I can't wait to show.
By the way, I charge $20 an hour if you want to learn. Bring your own deck.
He's advertising already. Alright, thanks man.
No problem.